What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. In this video, I'm just going to show you guys how to rust-proof your truck or vehicle. I'm going to show you how I'm rust-proofing my new LBZ Duramax 2006 Chevy Silverado 2500 HD. So I'm going to show you the tools and what you're going to need. This is something you can easily do in your driveway, which is what I'm doing here. So I'm gonna be rust proofing my frame here with Cosmoline. You're gonna wanna get the RP 342, and they have two formulas. They have this translucent formula, which dries to like a clear amber color. And what that lets you do is basically see through the Cosmoline to monitor what's underneath it. And then the black one is good if you just want to cover your main frame rails and you want something that's a little more attractive looking and you don't want to have like this like amber rusty kind of color of a frame. So I'm using both of these and I'll show you guys the different tools that I'm using. So what you're going to need, first of all, safety equipment. You're definitely going to want to get a face shield because when you're spraying Cosmoline, that stuff is really sticky and the overspray will get all over you. So you don't want to wear any nice clothes when you're doing this, and you also want to keep that can away from your body and your face when you're spraying. You want to have at least like 2-3 feet of space because the overspray will come back at you and stick to your face, your hair, your hands, your arms, your clothes. So wear junky clothes and get a face shield. Okay, I'm telling you guys, get a face shield. This was 20 bucks at Rural King. And then you're gonna wanna get some high quality gloves because it's gonna get all over your hands when you're spraying from the can. And that stuff is really hard to get off your skin. It's harder to get off your skin than paint, okay? And you want the gloves to come up over your forearms as well. As you can see, I have some overspray stuck to this lantern here, okay, this light. So you're gonna want a light source because you're working underneath your vehicle. So I have one plug-in lantern, and then I have this magnetic LED. Absolutely love this thing. Always keep them in my vehicles for emergencies. You're gonna wanna have some steel brushes, and this is just for scrubbing off any existing paint, any kind of loose paint or rust. You're going to want to scrub the surface first, get all that loose stuff off and any kind of surface rust, and then some rubbing alcohol with a rag to clean the surface after you finish scrubbing. And before you apply the Cosmoline, you definitely want to use a microfiber cloth. The microfiber cloth won't leave any, fibers behind. Like if you use paper towels or something like that, you'll have like lint or little pieces of, paper. So microfiber cloths, rubbing alcohol, and then I also have this little mini brush. If you need to get into a tight space that the big brush won't be able to get into, use this little mini brush to get into tight spaces. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to scrub off the surface you want to rust proof. So in my case with heavy duty diesel pickup, the frame rails, the suspension components, also the bed, underneath the bed. I mean, the nice thing about Cosmoline, and why I'm doing this with Cosmoline by myself in my garage rather than going to an undercoating shop, is that Cosmoline sticks to anything, and it's not reliant on like super good surface treatment and any kind of heavy duty surface prep. Like if you're painting your frame or you're doing like a undercarriage paint job, then you need to go to a professional shop for them to properly clean your frame, clean your undercarriage. They have to scrub the surface properly, treat the surface, prime it, all that stuff. the nice thing about Cosmoline is Cosmoline, you can spray it on anything and it'll stick to pretty much anything. It bonds the best to like metals, but Cosmoline is super easy to apply. So that's why I'm using it. And another nice thing about Cosmoline is that it's really easy to reapply. So, you know, it does eventually wear off, but it's like a wax coating. So, you know, maybe once a year, depending on, you know, how you drive, what conditions you drive in, how thick your base coat is, your initial coat. You know, they say it typically lasts several years, but, you know, that's also dependent on your driving habits, your driving conditions. But, you know, once a year, just get under your vehicle, take a look and see if there's any spots that, you know, need to be touched up. And it's just super easy. You just spray, you know, it's just, you know, anybody can do it. It's just the initial coating process is very labor intensive. If you're coming from a completely bare frame that doesn't have any coating on it at all, or minimal coating, and you got to coat the whole frame, you're gonna probably need, depending on if it's a truck or a car, you know, anywhere between 10 and 30 cans, which will probably run you about $300 to $400 just in the spray alone. And then, you know, probably you got to budget, you know, a few hours minimum. I would say maybe one day of just, you know, prepping the frame and coating it, depending on how many coats you want to do. You can do as many coats as you want. They say really one coat is all you need, but I like to put, you know, 3 coats to 5 coats in the higher wear areas, like the frame rails, which are exposed to the road spray. So like on my frame rails, I put 5 coats because that's the most exposed part. Now with my truck, this truck actually did not have any coating on it when I got it. Now Davis Drives, or Davis 4x4, Davis Off-Road, Davis Auto Sales in Chesterfield, Virginia, did the lift kit on this truck, and I purchased this truck from them as well. And they actually went ahead and did an undercoat for me with some paint, but you can see some areas are chipping off. So I'm going to go ahead and scrape off with the brush any loose paint and just cover over what they did. I didn't ask them to do an undercoat. They did it for me for, you know, free of charge, basically, just as a favor, because they knew the truck was coming up to Pennsylvania and they're in Virginia. And I had bought the truck in early February. So, you know, February, there's still a lot of salt on the road here in Pennsylvania. So I'm very grateful that they did what they could to, you know, spray coat whatever they could. But, you know, it wasn't like a full-on paint job. You know, they just sprayed whatever they could. And you can see, like here on the leaf springs, some of the paint is chipping off. So, but, you know, this is actually already sprayed with Cosmoline. So this is that black matte spray, and you can see when it dries, it looks really nice on the frame. It looks just like paint. You wouldn't be able to tell, but it's actually a lot more durable than paint. It's a lot more durable. It doesn't chip off. It's not necessary to have like a super good surface preparation or surface treatment before applying Cosmoline. That's what's really nice about it. You know, if you really don't have time to treat the surface and you just want to quickly cover up some rust, you don't even have to do any crazy prep work like I'm describing to you with the stainless steel. You don't have to do any kind of prep work, really. You just got to clean the surface, make sure there's no loose material on the surface, nothing loose, and then just degrease it. That's what the alcohol is for. But here you can see I already coated the frame rail here. The outside of the frame rail got 5 coats of the black Cosmoline, and the inner part of the frame rail I just used the amber translucent. But you can actually see some overspray here on my exhaust. So that's why you need to have your safety gear, because this stuff gets on everything. You know, here you can see some more of the cosmoline coating the bolt here, and it dries to like a waxy finish. So I think it looks really good, that matte color when it dries. It looks just like paint, but you know, it's a lot easier to apply. So you know, you're also going to want to have something to lay on as well. All right, guys, so also you're going to want to spray your body mounts here. You know, get all the nooks and crannies in there. You know, really take your time. Get the top of the frame rail, the bottom, the inside. You know, really take your time. And then here we got this cross member here. I'm about to add another coat. I sprayed it already. It dried overnight. You can see it looks really good when it dries. It's a nice matte finish on it. So we're going to give it another coat right now. And then I'm going to also coat under the bed. I got to do some work under the bed. But I'll also show you what that amber looks like, the amber color as well. And conditions you're going to want for the cosmoline, they say the ideal application temperature is between 45 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit. But I've applied it in the 30s. I wouldn't go below freezing, just because it's going to take a long time to dry, and then you have the potential for condensation and frost. But you know, 30s is fine. It's just going to take longer to dry up. But I've applied it over the last month. It's the end of March now, and I've typically been applying it in the 40s, 50s, sometimes 30s. It takes about 2 hours to dry the initial coat. And if you want to add an extra coat, let it fully dry first. Now, the nice thing about cosmoline is that you can apply as many coats as you want. There's really no drawback. It's just you're gonna end up using more product. However, you're gonna want to coat a little bit thicker, especially your first coat that you do. It's basically like using spray paint, except you're going to want to go thicker than spray paint. You know, spray paint, it runs a lot easier. This is a wax, so it doesn't run as easy. It still runs, but not as easy as paint. So don't be afraid to go thick when you're spraying your coats, especially your first coat. Or if you're just doing one coat, like they recommend just doing one coat or two at the most. Don't be afraid to go thick on the first one. Just be careful so it doesn't start to run. Don't go too thick, but you can definitely go thicker than spray paint. You know, you don't need to go like super light. You know, and you'll see when it starts to run. When it starts to run, you'll start to see it, and then just you know that you're spraying too much. But you can go thicker than spray paint for sure. All right, guys, I got my face shield on, protect my face. All right, guys, so it's hard for me to fit a tripod under here. So I'm going to try to hold the camera and spray a little bit here, this cross member, so you can see how to do it. It's kind of dark in there too, but just so you can see how thick of a coat. It is a little bit breezy, but you can see it's running just a little bit. That's okay. Don't worry about that. But, you know, you're going a little bit thicker than paint. But, you know, you don't want it to run like crazy. So there you can see the fresh coat already. So I'm going to continue on here. All right, guys, so you can see why I use the face shield. Look at how dirty it is. Just from one application. That would have all been on my face. So, all right, guys, so we're under the bed right now. Wanted to show you, I just sprayed this area here. You can see that nice amber color. 2 coats here. I'm probably going to add a 3rd coat, and then that should be enough for up here. This area doesn't get a lot of road exposure because it's higher up. This is where the spare tire used to be. But this is what that amber color looks like. So you can see through it, you can still see down to the metal underneath. So that's a benefit if you want to monitor the rust. But it dries to this kind of dark amber color, kind of a natural metallic color, as you can see, almost like a clear caramel color. It's kind of what it dries to. And here you can see some rust starting on one of the bed cross members. So like those little pieces of rust there, same thing up there. I'm gonna hit that with the Cosmoline. That's what makes the Cosmoline so great. You know, with paint, you'd have to scrape that off, sand it, prime it, and you can see some overspray there from Cosmoline on the outer frame rail. But you can just spray that. You know, I'll probably brush it with the small brush just to get loose stuff off, but you can just coat that right up with your Cosmoline. And then here you can see an untreated part of the inner frame rail. You can see that bare metal there. So we're gonna coat that up. We're gonna brush it off, brush the loose pieces off, and we're gonna spray that up. Hopefully we can get to that today. But this is what it's gonna look like when we're done spraying that section there. It's gonna have this dark amber clear color. And then here you can see this frame rail section here where the corner is. And you can see they tried to paint it as best as they could, but to really do a good paint job, you got to prep the surface. So we're going to scrape this all off and then recoat it. Same thing with the leaf springs. We'll get to the leaf springs later because that's not super critical. And then the bottom of the frame rail here, you can see the paint's like chipping off already here. So we're gonna coat all of this stuff, and then you know, most of it should be done. But here you can see some of the paint chipping off there, so we're gonna scrape that and clean it up. We're also gonna get that cross member. We already got part of it before. You can see it's partially coated. We're gonna clean that cross member there next to the muffler. Spray that nicely. You can see the wax. Some of the factory wax coating is still on it. Some of it's got some surface rust. No big deal. We'll brush that off and spray it nicely. All right, guys, so we're underneath the truck now. Wanted to show you the amber coating on the inner frame rail. You can see I coated the brake lines and fuel lines as well. Nice thick amber coating on this cross member here. I even coated the fuel cooler. Tried to coat even some of these fittings there that are old and rusty. So, and then here you can see the cross member. That's what it's going to look like when it dries with the black color. It looks really nice. It's a matte black finish. And this is after 5 coats, so I coated it quite thick. And I coated the other cross member there, as you can see. Nice matte finish. I even coated the skid plate for the transfer case. So most of the work is pretty much done. I still got to coat the front suspension components, and I may do the rear diff as well, but for the most part the frame is done. Wanted to give you guys a look from the side of how the frame looks with that matte black Cosmoline. So there you can see the coating. That's what it looks like when it dries. Really nice, smooth, matte black finish. The key is to apply a lot of coats, but thin coats. Not too thin, but you know, a little bit thicker than paint. And it just looks super good when it dries. I think it looks better than paint does. Has that nice matte finish. Look at that. I gotta attack these leaf springs next. These were painted again by Davis Off-Road, but I think they just hit them quickly. So I'm gonna spray these next, clean them up, spray them, and I'll show you guys under the bed what it looks like. Just wanted to show you guys how I coated underneath the bed. Look at this cross member here, the spare tire holder. Nice coating here. You can see all that amber coating. I think I did 4 coats here already. I'm gonna do another one. I even sprayed up top over there. I got the cross members here. You can see some light rust. Sprayed the whole thing. All the bed cross members, even over there. And then you can see inside frame rail all sprayed. And then the leaf spring thing here, where the leaf springs go into, I forget the name of it. So yeah, that's how you do rust proofing. It's my recommendation. You can do this in your driveway. You're probably going to need, I think I used like around 20 or 30 cans already. But I went quite thick, but you know, plan for about 20 to 40 cans, which is probably going to run you a couple $100. You plan like $500 worth of cans, plus a lot of labor. You're going to have to scrape everything down. If it's down to bare metal, you're gonna have to scrape and clean everything. It takes a while, but the good news is once you have the first application down, afterwards it's just a matter of periodically checking, getting underneath once a year or preferably every 6 months, and checking the integrity of your coating, and then just, you know, touching up areas that need to be touched up, or you can just spray one full coat once a year just to be on the safe side. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one, guys. Hope you found it useful. And if you want to see more of my truck content, check out my truck and off-roading playlist. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.